Hi, everybody. Welcome to yet another Meet the Speaker interview here for the Artificial Intelligence and Contracting Conference. My name is Adam Cohn. I'm the Vice President of Broadcasting and Marketing. Whew, that's a long title. But if you thought that was long, no, I'm kidding. We have a great session here. This is going to be outstanding. Please welcome Keith Gibson. He's the CEO of Ranyara, and he's also previously the VP of Technology Acquisition and current VP of Programs for the NCMA DC chapter. Keith, welcome.
Thank you, Adam. I got to say, you've got the best voice in the business.
I appreciate that. So your session is entitled Collaborate to Innovate, Strategies for Buying AI with Commercial Solutions, Opening CSOs and Other Transaction Agreements. Something we talked about before we hit record here. I really like what this is all about, right? Like we were talking about OTAs are overall, let's face it, they're pretty cool. Because of how, again, you can outdo the FAR or the DFAR. You don't have to go about it. Kind of avoids that red tape. When it comes to AI, because we don't have anything with the FAR yet for AI, this makes things a little interesting. So, Keith, first things first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. So, Keith Gibson, I'm a consultant here in the Washington, D.C. area. I spend my time trying to bridge the gap between advanced technologies and government. That takes many forms. Sometimes it's drones, sometimes it's AI, sometimes it's things that happen in space. But I spend a lot of my focus on the acquisition side of it. So how do we do it faster? How do we make it a little bit more agile? And to your point, Adam, the CSO and the OTA, they're the right recipe for this, right? So the CSO is something newer. OTA has been around for a while. But you're seeing the use of those authorities pick up, and for good reason. And so what we'll get into in the session is a lot about real use cases. So how have we used that CSO plus OTA approach to really make an impact for the warfighter? So it should be an awesome session. We're really excited to be a part of the event and just appreciate the opportunity for folks to be involved and to be here with you.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the session here in just a little bit. But first things first, what kind of got you into your field, right? Like AI is huge in and of itself, especially recently. And again, that's part of the whole reason I want to have this like little mini conference, if you will, is getting some of these new topics for all of us that, again, have no direction from the government yet of how to do this. So what kind of got you into your field?
So technology, I'll tell you, it was the 1995 movie Hackers. So this is
I like it.
Internet was starting, and it was just so cool and it was so new, and it was kind of counterculture, right? So there was a really cool aspect to it. When I turned 18, I joined the Air Force, so it was something post 9/11 where I wanted to serve. So I had this real interest in technology. I had this now military background, and I became a contracting officer. So in 2010, I went to Patrick Air Force Base, and I was leasing launch pads to a company I had never heard of called SpaceX, who maybe folks have heard of by now.
Now you have.
But it shaped my journey. And then I'll tell you, I was lucky. In 2020, I was asked to come stand up the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, and that was really where I think things picked up for me. From a technology perspective, but from an acquisition perspective. And then we started to get the real experience. What's working, what's not working, how do we adjust, and how do we really make an impact? So yeah, that's how I got into this field, and I feel very fortunate to be working here every day.
I love it. So what interests you specifically about the topic you're presenting on?
It's going to change the world. Right. Bottom line. So artificial intelligence, robotics technology is going to change the world.
Got it. Mic drop. We don't even need to do anymore. Right. We're going to end this interview right now. Mic drop. Go to the session. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. Finish up.
And the last thing I'll say is, I think we can thank ChatGPT in a lot of ways, right? When people say AI, they think large language model because it's the most, I think, widely used and widely adopted. And some would say it has a faster adoption rate than the internet, right? So we are on the cusp of something incredibly interesting. From a government perspective, we're still trying to work within that acquisition construct. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of organizations that are doing a damn good job, right, of getting around the red tape and getting it done. And so I think for this session, that's what we want to focus on. Right? Not necessarily the hurdles, but how are folks overcoming it and really making an impact?
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about what people can expect to learn, right? Like when you and I
Right.
were talking pre-show, because again, I come from DoD and specifically research and development. I was at BAE Systems for 4.5 years in the research and development division. Then I was at MIT, where it's a lot of R&D all over the place because MIT does. Then I've helped a lot of small businesses throughout my career as well. So I've gotten a wide range of things. But like when I heard OTAs coming out, it was this really weird thing. Systems weren't set up for it. There was no good way. We didn't have a template for it because it was the first time OTA showed up in like 20 plus years. So, CSOs and OTAs, what can people expect to learn?
Yeah. Here's my theory, right? My theory is that if we go through real use cases, imagine an MBA program, right? They don't necessarily tell you how to do A, B, C, and D, but they show you how people have done it. I think that's what's needed, not only on the government side, but for the companies, right? For the
Right?
startups. So startups want to know, okay, this founder had this company, they sold XYZ years later, right? And for this amount of money, and they had a government kind of tilt to their company. How did they do that? So this is going to be, background on the CSO, on the OTA, things you can get, but then it's going to be real use cases, two that we'll go through from A to Z. One is going to be from a government perspective, where we're going to talk about a project that is still currently underway, that has gotten a lot of attention and is doing great things. Then we're going to talk about from a founder perspective. So what are the companies, right? There's one specific that we'll talk about that recently sold for $400 million. And they had not only commercial, but they had some government work. So how did that impact them long term? So just two use
Yeah,
cases that we want to get into. And I think that's the model that we're going to try to tilt towards.
I like it. Well, Keith, this has been fantastic. Is there anything else you want to share to the people that are watching this video?
I love what you're doing, right? I mean, I think this is really innovative. I think this is going to be great. I hope that it is the first of many, and really hope that folks can join us. I think it'll be a really fun conversation.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. Folks, if you're watching this here on YouTube, because a lot of this is going to be embedded for the people that register, and I'm probably going to have them on the website because I'm recording this before we get the registration out. So, again, come join us. Registration is open. It is limited to the first 200 people that sign up. It is $50 a person. It is going to be on November 20th, 2024. We have a breakfast networking from 8:30 to 9 a.m. Also gives you all an opportunity to make sure you get your avatar set up, you get familiar with the conference space, and again, to have that networking opportunity. Keith, it's been a ton of fun. We'll see you on November 20th.
Adam, thank you.
Thank you.